who are not able to hear. Super. Thank you. Thank you very much. Great, great that you have begun to introduce yourself. I had written down there, my name is Jerry Lucy. For those who joined us, I am the cluster head technical assistant at Wild International. We are an entrepreneurship support organization. Our baseline is strategy to SMEs and medium-sized businesses. Basically, you all who are here, who are growing your businesses, scaling your businesses, and seeking sustainable ways to do that. So today we're talking about resilience in businesses and what are those strategies that we can thrive in turbulence. Now, ladies and gentlemen, thrive and turbulence, that should not be an oxymoron. I will give you an example for you to go and research even as we begin. There's a part of me that is a teacher, and so I always give homework or assignments, reflection points for us to do that. Anyone who's ever studied an eagle, there are a couple of poignant moments that that eagle's life goes through, and I will speak about one. What happens when the eagle faces a storm? It never stays under the storm. It always goes above the storm. And how does it do that? Let me see if my video can allow. It flaps its wings together and goes to, if the storm is like a collar, it goes to the baseline and enters that storm in between and lets the turbulence of the storm take it way up here. It has gone above the storm, and more likely it will be able to find some rest. It will be able to find a calmness above the storm. Ladies and gentlemen, that is what we as entrepreneurs are created to do. Never mind you came into entrepreneurship because of a difficulty or other. But as an entrepreneur, as you begin the journey, you realize that you are created differently. You think differently. Even if you are employed, there's a skill that is called entrepreneurship. That means you are able to see opportunities within the business where you are, even if it's employment, and you're able to find solutions to give the customers as way out of the needs that they have. So let us get started, ladies and gentlemen. So every so often, I will need to refresh this so that it does not hang. Okay, let's have a conversation. Now that we have introduced ourselves, let us have a conversation. What do you fear most about being an entrepreneur? Let us see your responses in the chat. What do you fear most about being an entrepreneur? You can type in the chat. I think you have been enabled. What do you fear most about being an entrepreneur? Let me see your responses. We are over 100 here, which is good. I know CoBank has many more customers where this communication has been done. All right. Going to lose, losses, income not growing, access to clients, failure. What else do you fear? You can put your own, even if it's been made, it's been mentioned, making a big loss, suffering losses. What else do you fear about being an entrepreneur? Failure for customers to buy the products, theft, lack of market, uncertainty of the future, harassment by career officials. I don't know whether they're in the room. Debt, is it debt, Moses? That's not clear. You can rewrite it again. Losses and failure in business growth, fraud. What else do you fear? Falling into the chasm, lacking customers, managerial mistakes, suffering a loss, or losing staff members. Thank you guys for that interaction. Remember, we are about what? Is it about 5 years after what is called the changing of the world systems, or the world as we knew it, in terms of the pandemic hitting the world? Those things that you have said, is it feeling as if we have gone back there again? Because you see how the environment feels or looks, it feels like we have gone back. Does this uncertainty sound familiar to you? Because that is how it feels. And anybody who has learned French, there's a word called déjà vu. I have been here before. I have seen this before. I'm experiencing this all over again. Keep that in mind as we continue with our conversation about resilience in business and what are the strategies to thrive even in the turbulence. There is an exercise that, if it's possible, I can get you, but there are many when we come to do team building. But a certain saying goes, if you know where you're going, you can't get lost. Think about it. For example, you're going to Mombasa by road and you get to Nyayo roundabout and you find a diversion. Just because you found a diversion does not mean that you will not remember that you are going to Mombasa. You cannot get lost if you don't know where you're going. Now, that sounds like a tongue twister, but just think about it. You really don't know where you're going. You got onto whatsoever bus or train, or let's use our matatus for that matter. You picked it along a certain road. Okay, let's say you even picked it along one of those diversions. Didn't ask where it's going, didn't look at the number, didn't listen to, didn't even ask where it's going. So now how are you going to get lost? You didn't know where you were going. You see, as entrepreneurs, we began by saying that whereas there are certain hard pressing reasons why we get into business. And as I mentioned, one of them was during the pandemic. We were laid off. The business that the employment that we were doing, that was downsizing. So even the salary that you were getting is much less than the lifestyle that you had set for yourself. So you found yourself starting to do business. And for anyone who's joined, you will never hear me saying side hustle. No, you are providing a solution to a certain problem in the market. So you got onto a business. You may have gotten into it to survive. And so, yes, at that point, you were just on the move to survive. But if you do not create a very good vision of where your business is going, if you have no idea of the strategy of growth of your business, then any road is going to lead you there. So then you can imagine when the turbulence comes, which way do you go? Which way do you go? So we refer or revert to the first. If you know where you're going, you will not get lost. The fundamentals of a business, or the foundations, are what we come back to when there is turbulence. What are these fundamentals? The first question you ask yourself is, what is the problem you're solving? What is the problem you are solving? Who are you solving it for? That's the second, based on the market. Who are you solving that problem for? And the third is, how will you continuously and consistently provide that solution for the who that you're solving it for? So we're asking ourselves the questions, three of them. One, I am hoping you have a notebook and pen or your notepad on your digital gadget. So the first one is, what problem are you solving? The second problem. The second question is, for who are you solving that problem for? And the third is, how will you consistently and continuously solve that problem? Let me give you an example. You see, when we ask, what problem are you solving? I'm going to give you an interesting illustration so that you understand every customer, including those who are in the room, has a problem to be solved. That is the only way you can thrive in terms of a mindset change as an entrepreneur. And so there are people, you know about Mercedes. So Mercedes are known to be premium cars in the job market, in the marketing market in terms of an individual. Let's go to Ferrari. Let us go to Jaguar. Let us go to Lamborghini. There is a problem that business is solving. And because I like an interaction, based on what I have just said, what do you think is the problem for the person who is buying a Jaguar, a Ferrari, or a Lamborghini cars? And if you don't know, because you are with a gadget, just try and search on the net. What are those I am talking about? But for those who know, if you can quickly type in the chat, what is the problem the one who is looking to purchase a Jaguar could actually easily also be in premium, but a Lamborghini, a Ferrari, what is the problem the customer the customer has by the time they're going to look for that car? Any guesses? Daniel, equality. Think and think critically. Because you see, you here, you may want to drive luxury. Damaris, thank you. Satisfy their love for luxury. Announce status. Status, actualization, prestige. I am liking how you entrepreneurs are thinking. I'm almost saying the class is over. But that's it. There is an aspect of status and luxury that is not announced. Because you see, let me be honest with you now. You here are finally, Miriam. Excellent. You who is here, when you want, finally, you feel you have a few millions of dollars and you want to purchase that car, to penetrate, to get access so that they can sell to you that car will be very difficult. Because the people who purchase that car are not looking to purchase it in the public domain. They are known. That's the first thing. They're in a club of their own. That's the second thing. And they are continuous customers there. So the problem to be solved there is exclusivity. And that is how we begin. Do you know the problem that you are solving by your business, by your products and services? Do you know who you are solving it for? Now, again, my assignment, you can go further and just try and describe who are those who don't want to be seen when they're purchasing. But when they're driving, of course, you will see. But where will you see them anyway? You will not see in the pothole roads of Nairobi. So where will you see them? And then for that business, Lamborghini, how old is it? Ferrari, how old is it? How have they continuously and consistently managed their business so that they can stay sustainable, so that they can always continuously solve that problem? Strategy has to do with three aspects. One, if it is in terms of definition, it's a direction or it's a response. Think about this. We began by describing the direction, meaning that if you don't know where you're going, you can get lost. But also, if you know where you're going, you too cannot get lost because you are sure of where you're going. But the second person Ain't sure at all. Secondly, strategy can be a response. You see, during the pandemic, there had to be a lot of course corrections in our businesses, and they were necessitated by the crisis that we were in. So let's go to the second part. What informed that response? It was the external factors. We always talk about pestel. That means it was the economic. So the health, the external health aspects had an impact on the economic aspects of it. But that invariably affected how we deal or we work in our businesses internally. Businesses were closed or we were forced to close. We didn't want to do it, but we were forced to close. And when we did come back, we came back and had to change how we act. So, for example, if you're in the food business, there was a lot more you needed to do internally to ensure that you still delivered quality and people still wanted to eat your food, distancing notwithstanding. Then there is an aspect about time. There was an urgency, immediacy. You needed to think through how differently am I going to deliver. Let's give another example. My products, say my shoes, to people. First, they are not allowed to come and loiter or at least walk around on the streets. So then how do I ensure that I am able to deliver this? The person who sells shoes, I think I quickly think about something that has that is now used by either people who sell clothes or shoes or whatever else. There are international measurements that you can find, especially for Africans. It's very important to say that that you can use so that someone does not have to keep coming and saying that they want to try 20 pairs of shoes, but they can get a range of between one smaller size, one exact size, and one slightly bigger size. You do delivery to the person, they try their shoes, and that person returns back your other two shoes. That is a strategic response. Okay. If you are in, let me think about perceptionally a difficult business, construction. Construction, normally you have masks as a way of protective gear in terms of occupation, health, and safety. I am hoping that you do that, whether you're the one who is a foreman or whether you're the one who is in the quarry, you're the one who digs up either the stones or the cement, the clinker, whatever it is. In future, you needed to see, and now we come to technology, how much technology can be used to excavate your products. And therefore, how do you map out those business plans or the operations differently? So therefore, we come to answering those questions. What problem are you solving? We are talking about a value proposition. And we have one value proposition there. For the Lamborghinis, we are talking about exclusivity. For you who's in insurance, we're talking about peace of mind. Think about it. When you hit a crisis, you are on the road and some person who is very stressed in the day hits you for whatsoever reason, or our lovely what are they called, riders, motorbike riders. And I say lovely because I know very good ones who are very sober and level-headed. They do not try and do theatrics of what are they called, Grand Prix kind of racing. So for you who has been had an incident on the road, the first person you call is the insurance agent. You, the insurance agent or broker, what do you think is the problem you're solving? If I can give you an example, you're solving the problem of peace. I want peace of mind. That when I call you, you will figure out what to do, whether you need to speak to the police, whether you need to speak to the insurance company, whatever it is, you solve for me this problem peacefully. Remember, I was either dropping my child to school or I was going to work. I still want to have a peaceful day. Not to get to the office and I'm like, wow, what a Monday morning. No. So who are you solving the problem for? The question is, what is your target market? As I have just said, again, we go back to the Lamborghini. The target market is not that newly made millionaire, even in millionaire in dollars. Remember, we call you a millionaire because the sum total of your assets minus your expenses, sum total, brings you to $1 million. Not because you've just hit $1 million in terms of your sales revenue. No, consistently you should be able to have that as your baseline. And then we're talking about what are you doing internally to deliver the solutions consistently, your strategic pillars. We can call them critical success factors. And when we think about pillars, I'm like a building that is before you. Pillars hold the building together. We have the foundation, which is what are your strategies, and then how you consistently remain stable sustainably is through your strategic pillars. So in breaking it down, value proposition is the worth the customer is willing to buy. You see a Lamborghini, we will not argue about the price, no. But even if so, if I am buying, I just want to build a small house, so to say, for myself, um, give or take, what, 3 4 bedroomed house and maybe an SQ or two. When I am negotiating about how much it will cost for you to transport for me a lorry of stone, a lorry of cement, and any other thing, granted, we will talk about the price. But for you who is delivering that product or service, always steer the customer away from the price to the worth or the value. So you have to know what sets you apart from the next person who is delivering the same stones and cement. Even though we are saying with machine learning and everything else, we think we can print houses, but that's a story for another day. What separates you? What is your value proposition? You see, again, in here, because nowadays we are very clear, there can be what we like to call them mamambogas. Because you see, again, during the pandemic, there was no shame in anything you needed to do to put food on the table. So now, when I am buying groceries from the mamamboga, when I begin to argue about how small that bundle of vegetables or that package of tomatoes, whatever it is, potatoes, how small it is and how costly it is. She goes on to tell me, do you know, this is where I got them. This is how good they are for your health. This is how important it will be. So think about it. If she is able to do that, ladies and gentlemen, why not you? So it doesn't matter what it is, whether you're selling shoes, you're selling insurance, you're selling legal services, you're selling marketing services to be able to support, or being a virtual assistant. The issue should really be about the pricing as about the value or the worth. Because once I can see the value or the worth, I will pay you. And all you have to do is consistently make sure that I receive the worth and the value that you have mentioned. So, whatsoever the challenges of my cost of production, we will come to that. To be honest, there is no customer who wants to know. You see, granted, if I'm complaining about how expensive a samosa has become, you will go and tell me how much land is costly, how much wheat is costly, how much oil is costly, and you'll go and tell me about all the myriad taxes that we have. Fair enough. But to be honest, at that point, I'm very hungry. Do you actually think I am concentrating on what are the costs of production for you to give me a samosa to the cost that I can fit me? Really, no. So I want to hear how valuable that product or service is by the time I am buying. So I just want to see value, and my conversation should be value. We know this target market. And the reason why we are starting with the foundations is because when we come to now thinking through how are we going to thrive, and I did not say survive. No, you can thrive in turbulence. Anyone who is in the cleaning industry here, and I did see, and anyone who's in the protective gear industry, I'm only hoping that the bank did see a lot of deposits, because we know you did very well, extremely well. Why? You thrived in the turbulence of the pandemic. And so, any other person, for as long as you're able to hunker down your pillars, you can actually do that. So when it comes to during the turbulence, you drill down into what exactly are these customers looking for. So let's use the examples of shoes. Who exactly buys your shoes? Is it ladies? Do you sell shoes for children? Do you sell shoes for gentlemen? Right there, those are three different target markets. What are the psychographics of ladies when they're buying shoes? I want almost like 5 pairs I try. For a man, I really want a good quality, because you know what? I don't have the time to keep passing here to look at your shoes. And I want a shoe that fits this season. For us ladies, we want 5 different pairs of shoes for any real or imaginary event that will ever show up in our lives. See? Behavior, I just mentioned. We want to buy shoes often as opposed to those who want to buy shoes once in a while. But right there, I'll also say, if you're selling shoes for children, they grow. Okay. And so, for example, give or take, you're selling school shoes. You want to think of durable shoes. Think about it. That shoe will be used to kick football. We will go into puddles of muddy water. We will, sometimes it gets lost because the child left to your house with 2 shoes. They come back with 1 shoe. By the time you find another shoe, you want to be able to find that replacement very quickly and you move on with your life. So then the purchasing habits you have to think about is, what cost will be my school shoes? Because you can see the purchasing habits will be very random by virtue of the target market. And in this case, especially for the issue about children, think about it. The target market is twofold. There is the decision maker, the parent, and there is the user, the child. Think about that. And then, of course, there's a geographical location. If you say you're going to do deliveries, how far? And if you want to charge, what will be the cost of that delivery? Strategic pillars. So we are saying they have to be aligned to your value proposition and the target market. You see, when we set up businesses, we quickly say, I want a HR department, I want a marketing department, I want a finance department, I want a legal, because when we left our corporate organizations, or because we align ourselves with the corporate organizations, we think those should be the departments. Unless you are in the legal services, you for sure need a legal department. Unless you're in the marketing services, you for sure need a marketing department when you are still young. But you have to align your departments based on, one, what is the operational efficiency? Two, what's the resource allocation? And talking about resource is, one, money. Two, space or whatever it is. Three, you have the materials for your business. Four, people. And then the customer experience. I did not say customer satisfaction, neither are we saying customer, in fact, the word should be customer excellence, consistently and continuously. A very interesting thing I will say, business people will like to say, hey, our customers wanasumbua. So my question will be, are you in business for yourself or are you in business for the customer? Customers siku hizi wako na needs nyingi, wamekuwa maringo sana. Are you in business for the customer or for yourself? You see, based on how you choose, if you want to give what is called a bare minimum, so let me give an example. Okay, I happen to have, let me see if you can see that, yes, there. This is a takeaway cup for tea or coffee. Sometimes I see some places they also use, what are they called? Juice or whatever it is. So in terms of my production, this is plastic and down here is paper. Okay. And then this is glass. So when you think about if I am to package in either of those two, my resource allocation will be very different. So the question is your product glass-like, the delicacy it requires? And that means the cost of production. Remember, now we've come to the strategic pillars, the back end. Or is your product paper-like, or is your product plastic-like? I'm not trying to say anything positive or negative about that. First, let's keep to the conversation about operational efficiency. When you're starting out, you want to be very careful to give a product within the limits of your resource allocation as you grow, based on your target market. Again, remember, your strategic pillars are not from thin air. They are not according to your preference. They are according to what you can deliver to the customers that you've chosen to. So your decisions are based on how effective. If you know at the back end there is bound to be so many accidents with the glass, then make sure your operational efficiency is such that it is easy to come in and go out. It is easy to prepare that samosa. So now, how do I pack it? So if I choose to pack it in a very sturdy or strong bag, that is an expense. But your customer will actually appreciate that you've gone through the detail of making sure that I receive the value of that food. So therefore, that resource allocation would mean you will add a shilling or two into that, but you know for sure it will come back, because we go to the third part, the customer experience and excellence is felt. Consistency. So for example, you needed to thrive during the turbulence of the pandemic. How did you need to pack your food during that season, but keep the customers? There are many people who began making food at home. Maybe you had not foreseen that. And for as long as they had thought through the process, they may well been in business. But if they had not thought through the process, you who's in business, you needed to shift very quickly and thrive in that turbulence so that you still keep your customers. Why? People got tired of cooking at home. People did. And so they wanted to still experience hotel food and stress-free life, even as they stayed at home. Then, of course, there were those who are still working. So every day, and these are the things that people never think about when it is the female gender. Even as I'm working at home, I still need to think what you guys will have for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner. Is the house going to be cleaned? Whatever it is. Nobody is going to think about that. So then you who has me as a customer in whatsoever business, I'm buying shoes or uniform from you, I come to do my hair or my nails, I come to buy food, whatever it is, you needed to think about me in that way. So then let's think about, so the shaking happened, and it truly did happen real good. But sometimes it feels it never quite stopped, because every so often we wake up, there's a new tax. So it is not the beauty of the building that you should look at. It's the construction of the foundation that will stand the test of time. Think about it like this. I got into business because where was school fees going to come from? And I have been laid off. Well and good. It's been 5 years of the changing landscape of business in this country. We have statements like doing business in Kenya is an extreme sport. I want to quickly add and say we are resilient. In fact, let me tell you something there. Sometimes some of the work that we do is dealing with clients who are coming to put venture capital or to actually what is it called, invest in a business. And so one of the things they say is we have a very resilient culture because we are entrepreneurial in nature. If you think about it, any part of the earth, like I actually met Kenyans who live in Iceland, and I have met Kenyans who think about it a difficult country, you're going to learn a different language. It's because the nature of the difficulty, we like to say, is what has made us being able to thrive. And that is how we keep moving. And so our mindset is such that tomorrow will be a better day, or I better make it work with what I have now. So then we begin to ask ourselves critical questions during the turbulence of even the one that we are in right now. When it comes to financial health, where is the source of our finances? When it comes to customer excellence, what do the customers want? When it comes to operational efficiency, how are we going to optimize our processes? I was going through, I'm trying to give examples of exactly where it is. So let's talk about tours and travel. Again, they were affected during the pandemic. When it comes to inventory management, how are you able to narrow down one in the pandemic? What exactly then becomes the problem I'm trying to solve? Remember, we stayed at home until we could stay home no longer. So for some clients, for some businesses, they were still being paid. Even then, for a while, they would not have to work. I remember government was not laying anybody. So anybody who worked in government still got your salary, especially after they said 60 something. They call them the vulnerable ones. You are not too close to retirement, but well, you are high risk. So go home. 3, 4 months, you received your salary. So if one of those clients is a client of you who's in the tours and travel, how did you have to, one, devise or try and understand what problem they needed solved? They needed to get out. Okay. They needed to get out and just discover places. And at least I remember for once, apart from the time that Kenya's faced the very difficult post-election violence, Kenyans have begun appreciating their home and everything else that is good for them. And so once you begin to know that, then you figure out, okay, my clients would like short trips. And that is how now the rise of Airbnbs have come up. Because I want to take a tour, a route that is less traveled, central. We always think that there is nothing, but you would find some hotels there are mushroomed because of that. I want to do a long drive all the way to Mount Kenya. I may or may not climb it with my family, but I want to do that. So how did you package your offering? We talk about the target market. Who are those? Probably families. And now I can tell you, groups of single people, men or women separate, have been doing that. Churches or whatever religious beliefs, whatever it is that people seem to share a common belief system. So then, using that, you come to your inventory. Do you need to own cars or vans, or do you need to hire, depending on the number of customers that you're having? In terms of stock levels in a week or in a month, how many inquiries and paid up customers do you have? Are you able to forecast? Part of forecasting is how much marketing have you done? And so if you are, what is it called? If you are hiring out cars, who becomes your supplier of those vans or cars? Okay, supply chain management. And who becomes your driver? What kind of drivers do you get? Do you get drivers who are just so annoyed when children start crying in the car? Because remember, your target market there is what? Families. And then what kinds of families? So there you go. We talk about cash flow optimization. So let me pick another example. Um, who else is in business here? Let me see. Sorry. We talk about looking for other businesses. Uh-huh. You're selling clothes. Okay, let's talk about you are selling clothes. Who are you selling the clothes to? Are you selling to, are your clothes for between 5 to 7 years old? Are your clothes for teenagers and teenagers, men or women or boys or girls? Are you selling to working class, that is office corporate? Are you selling to people who work from home? And in fact, let me stop there. Because we work from home, you who sells clothes, What was your revenue like? People said, why am I buying clothes? I'm always at home. And we will not say an interesting conversation here, what people ended up wearing, because nobody is seeing me, or so we thought. Yet, there needed to be comfort in how we dress. Sooner or later, we needed to be seen in cameras, even as we work remotely. So then, if it is me, a female, who is working from home, do you know anything else about me? Do you know whether I have children or not? How comfortable do I want my clothes? What if I'm the kind that travels? Anyone who travels often knows the drama at the airport. You begin unbuttoning, removing belts, and things are beginning to fall down. Okay, it may not be that, it may not be that extreme. So therefore, what kind of clothing do I want? So, what problem are you solving for you who sells clothes? Who are you solving it for you who sells clothes? And therefore, what becomes your strategic pillars? So you're asking yourself about cash flow, you who sells clothes. That's the example we are focusing on. When it comes to cost optimization, how much stock will you keep? What kind of clothes do sell more? Do you have an inventory of the same? In terms of liquidity preservation, there is someone you buy clothes from, let's say in a bill. How much do they sell for you? How well? How do you pay? Okay. And then you need someone either at the shop, maybe at the time that you go get your new stock. Maybe you're selling from home. Okay. So in terms of resources, we usually give or take, and I know there are finance consultants here, including Bank as well. So when you are running a business from home, give or take, you calculate a third of everything, a third of the space, a third of the internet, a third of water and whatsoever other amenities that you're using. How are you allocating your resources? Okay, based on which aspects of clothes are bought more than the other, so that at any one time you have cash flow. You see, our host here, Bank, the first thing they'll always look at is your cash flow to be able to see, is the funding that they're giving you able to be repaid? And we know that, right? They've taught as well. So we come to customer retention. And then we will go to another example. I'm trying to pick, it's been a while since coffee farming. Who is your customer? You, the owner of a coffee farm. Is it the broker, the buyer? Do you have access to a miller yourself, or you're part of a cooperative? Do you know your international buyers, or you just sell to the National Coffee Exchange and that is it? Okay, so that you know what flavor of coffee are they looking for, so that you can communicate that value proposition to them. Your market, did your customer change from saying, maybe I like and this one now I need to be careful, the flavors of coffee, the few that I've done, either could be a little acid, have an aftertaste of a sweetish berry, or have a very strong flavor, whatever it is. People change, and then again during the pandemic, people changed their flavors of everything. Let's just say everything, really. So as the market is changing and adapting, are you adapting, or do you begin to say what we like to say, which is not good, which I'm hoping after this conversation we will stop saying customers are annoying, wanasumbua sana, wakona maringo sana. Let me tell you, even when I come to your kibandaski, I want to find a table clean, your plate is clean, because I came because of a certain way that you make that fish. I came because of a certain way that you make those greens. Those greens, if I ask for them in Kempinski, they might not even know what they are. But I am coming because I remember being told during the pandemic I need to eat healthy. So I've come to your Kibandaski because of those greens. I've come to your Kibandaski because of that brown ugali. So now if I begin to tell you, please don't give me this too much ugali, I like my burgers done in this way, and I like my fish done this way, Why are you saying that I am being very choosy? I came. I came because I like what you do. I came because I like the product that you're selling. I came because by the time I enter your kibandaski, you already know, sasa, kama kawaida, bas, I sit and enjoy my meal. And that could be the only meal I'll eat that day. You see, you don't know because maybe that is the day I was paid, me being from Mjengo, and I want to treat myself. So, because according to me, this is the highest level of a hotel I can come, why don't you allow me the luxury of feeling I am taking care of myself? Why do you think I am so poor that that is the only thing I would have come to do because I came to Akibandaski? There used to be some Kibandaskis around Serena. Some of us are beginning to betray our age. And so it used to be called Serena B. And they used to say the number and the types of cars that used to be parked outside Serena B were more than the ones that were parked outside Serena, the main Serena. So some people say maybe that is why they were kicked out. Well, there are many other reasons, some macroeconomic that we may not necessarily want to talk about here. But that's it. That's it. When we say you're retaining customers, because year in, year out, there was customer retention in the Kibandaskis of Serena B. People trusted that Kibandaski and there was loyalty. Now, when it comes to feedback, and I know for sure that Cobb Bank knows that your harshest critic, which is you customers who are here, never leaves. Never leaves. In fact, they'll always have a new problem to tell you. Today that cashier did not feel like talking to me. Kwani akona shida gani? Today I entered and the askari was talking to me badly. Kwani ajui mimi nimekuwa hapa customer for how long? I know that's how you talk. But because of your feedback, another day, ule wachia yuko leo, they were changed because of you. You don't know. Uh, ah, kuna kasha nilikuwa naongeanga naye, kwani alipelekwa wapi? They were changed because of you. You don't know, because you see the millions you bring to the bank. Peter and the team cannot dare put risk you taking those millions anywhere, so they will listen to your feedback. It does not mean necessarily that those people are fired. No, they were just put somewhere else in the organization. Think about it. If that bank is willing to do that, you of Kibandaski, if I come to buy your shoes, and you see, this is what I usually say. I usually go into even a clothes shop, okay? Including when you're in Banga, 50, 20, you know those ones. I pass there, I've stood, I'm trying to look for shoes. Atu ni salimi. You don't tell me nothing. I usually ask them, wewe kweli huna njaa? Even if you're employed, you just know at the end of the month your boss will pay you, but you have no entrepreneurial spirit to actually sasa madhe, of course taki kuitwa hivyo, maybe bado ni dim, which are you looking for, whatever it is. If you have trained your own team to learn to be entrepreneurial, you as the owner of the business can sit comfortably in such sessions and begin to understand how to grow your business. That when it comes to crisis, you want your team to hang on to every customer, so much so that if they were just coming to buy shoes and they happen to be dresses you have introduced, they also buy the same. If they were coming to buy stones and they end up buying plus clinker and everything else, or you connect them to a certain business and that business gives you a cut, you're good. You are growing your business. If they're coming to the tours and travel over and above you taking them somewhere, we know you get a cut by being able to suggest certain hotels. And how about you being able to suggest so many that an additional portfolio of your business comes simply because of customer retention? Ladies and gentlemen, those are part of the strategies to thrive in business. Everybody in a turbulence is cranky. Everybody is on the edge, including you. So how about you be the calm one and be able to provide solutions to your business? And so we are talking about your team. So let's talk about workforce. How do they communicate? I've told you, Mama Mbogas, they will always get standard customers and they know. How do they communicate? What is your leadership? Granted, it's a difficult environment. But do you, let me say, go to a therapist? And I don't know whether they are counselors and coaching services customers of Copbank here. What leadership are you giving? You who is completely stressed as a hotel owner, completely stressed as a maybe you have a clinic that you have set up, completely stressed as a mechanic. But you who set up, your fellow mechanics or the people that you have employed do not want to see your stress. So here, remember when I said we introduce ourselves, so that if I am looking for a therapist, a counselor, a coach, I go to them, offload to them my stress, and come and be a good leader, because it is a critical strategy for me and my business to thrive in turbulence. Out of that, I'm able to get high productivity, because you see, my leadership shows my teammates that we are all in this together. Not telling them I am the owner of the business, and if you all don't need this job, you can get out. I can always get people along the streets. Kwani hamjui employment is at I don't know what percentage. I say, well and good. Go and hire. One of the things we say is to hire or to fire requires money. What do you have? Remember, we said strategy has an aspect of time. Are you going to hire immediately? You can say yes. Are you going to get someone immediately? Alama ya dukuduku. Change. There is change that happened during the pandemic. There is the mental transition that people took so long to actually accept. Maybe you're introducing an aspect of technology because you need to thrive in business, which is good. Have you communicated the same so that mentally people can transition? Okay, so that you do not have longer timelines of change. Remember, you need that strategy to act immediately, but how do you bring it up? And the very teams, even the ones that are going to use technology or enforce technology, need to be well. The well-being of your team, the well-being of your workforce is important. And as I say this, whether it is you at the mjengo, or you cleaning services, or you who's dealing with the drivers in the tours and travel industry, each one of those who work for you need to be well. You who are here, there are over 140 of you, very well know that there are places that you have gone and you feel you've been served very well, and it did not have to mean that you paid a lot of money. Take a moment and think about it. If you had to think about what was lovely about that business, it was simply how well you were taken care of. You may have paid a lot of money, but you loved that feeling. Maya Angelou usually says, people forget what you say, people forget what you do, but people will never forget how you make them feel. Because if anyone is a counselor, a therapist here will say, the reason why we struggle with getting over difficult situations is that certain emotions are embedded in those traumatic experiences. That if I can disconnect that, I begin to be well. Entrepreneurs, business owners, allow me to call you billionaires. Do not let your business be the source of negative emotions that your workforce will always attach a difficult season of their life. It could be difficult, and yes, it is difficult. But there is a way, including how difficult you intend to lay someone off. Because, yes, sometimes those are difficult decisions we have to make, that you do it humanely, you do it well. Technology, we have mentioned that it begins with an innovation culture so that that innovation can be supported by technology. We like to hear these examples about, oh, Google allows one day where you can think and creatively come up with something for yourself. Well, it's on their payroll. So you can be sure that technology in entrepreneurship idea you come up with, it helps them make money. Maybe there could be a written NDA about how some of it will come to you in terms of IP, intellectual property, by all means, yes. But does not mean that you as an entrepreneur, as an entrepreneur who's employed, refuse to be innovative kwa sababu huyu atakula tu yangu. Since we prayed, I want to dare give you this reminder. Do you remember the parable of the talents? The 5, the 2, and the 1. The one said, this miser of a boss, me, make money for them? Forget it. I will not even do anything with what they've given me. Illustrate here, I will not do nothing with the time that I'm here. Mimi kazi yangu is to look for a job. I say, well, please remember that that very boss one day will be called by someone who's looking for a job. And when they're told to refer you, you know what they will say? No comment. Because I guess they're still nice. They don't want to spoil for you. But any recruiter knows no comment is a very loaded statement. My point, you, the leader, create an innovation culture environment so that your team is able to bring for you different ways to solve the problems for your target market profitably. Ideally, that's the full definition of strategy. Use data, analyze data. For example, during the pandemic, before the pandemic, and let's say 2 years ago, do you have data of one, you who sells, who is a pharmacist? Do you have data on what was being bought more before the pandemic? What was being bought more during the pandemic? What was being bought more in the last 2 years? Give or take, even if you threaten us with another pandemic, do you see the trends in your business? So how do you analyze them? Who are your customers mostly? What is that they're looking to buy more? What informs what they're buying? You see, when I come to buy a hammer, what is my need? Could be twofold. A hammer removes and a hammer puts back. Have you asked me what I was coming to buy the hammer for? Because you see, the issue is not just the hammer, it is what I want to do with the hammer. Okay? And hopefully, not family violence. But you see, you did not ask me. You may have become a therapist at that point. So, those are the conversations where you pick data from. Then we talk about digital transformation or automation. Which are those processes that easily can be automated so that it is easier for your team to focus on other things? Like, can there be even an Excel worksheet? Every so often, someone calls, put in data, and then at the end of the week, run the report and say, who did we have this season, this week? How much did they spend? And what exactly did they buy? So is it the likelihood of these are the things we need to stock? We go back to inventory management and cash flow. That is how you begin to manage your business. And we are almost coming to the end. We are almost coming to the end of our presentation. Sorry, I keep saying my presentation keeps hanging. Let me do this again. There we go. So as we wind up, where are you in your business? I am hoping you're at growth. You may also have begun another business. You consider it on the side, or what is called, you may have begun another portfolio. Let me think of an example. You may be running a restaurant and suddenly you realize that people prefer takeaway food or deliveries as opposed to coming to where your office is. So therefore, that becomes an innovation for you. Or you run a salon, okay? And so you realize people are liking natural hair. So how differently do you help them manage that natural hair? One, do they want home visits? Or two, they want what is called ready-made wigs. Okay, wigs, not weaves, because they don't want to sit and have those things to sewn on their head. They want, I can buy different, you can design a wig based on, excuse me, whatever I want, the structure of my face, okay, and maybe the color that I want every so often. That is an innovation based on your current expertise. So think about what aspects of innovation you can come up with for your business. Then market access and expansion. We are a growing nation. We have young people coming into the job market. One aspect is maybe you found people who enjoyed coming to your hotel. When it comes to market expansion, the people who are older are the ones who are coming. Now you're finding that this target market has younger people. This target market is not about ugali and boga and nyama. This target market is about chicken wings. This target market is about tacos. I hope you know what that is. This target market is about burritos, whatever that is. So how differently do you take care of that? Systems, processes to support expansion. One of the things that every so often, including if that is what you like, the big brands in food, such as, and I am hoping Cobank does, that when you call them, the information about you as a client comes to the screen. So they already know what business you are in, what kind of a customer you are, maybe the last product that you took, if it was loan, how much, and where you are at. That is part of using systems and processes. Meaning there are so many apps right now, so many, such that you can easily get an app that says this person came to buy this pair of shoes, this person came to buy came to the salon and did this. So maybe when they came, their, what is it called, their nails were looking this, that, and the other, but I was able to do this. I convinced them, maybe they only wanted pedicure, but I convinced them to do manicure. I convinced them to do I convinced them to do their hair. Your system should be able to pick that, so that every so often I come, easily I decide to spend that much money. And again, even more, because you remember, or your system is able to put the reason why I bought a wig is because maybe I am an MC. So every so often I'll need my nails done, especially my manicure. Every so often I'll need my hair done, including if every month you don't see me, you ask me, Ala, hakuna event this month, kuja nikutengeneza, even half time, and you quickly come. Or it could be, I like to come 7 or 6 in the morning. Your system should be able to pick that, so that every time I call, isikue hakuna mtu kwa salon, I move to somewhere else. Skills and expertise to support expansion. I did mention that from natural hair to micro locks to wigs that are custom made. Are there skills in your business that you can begin to train your employees or your team to get there? Funding and investment. Oh, we like the sound of money, and we like free money. But let me tell you, free money or pay expensive money, it creates an environment where there is a cost to using that money. If it is a grant, remember you are expanding and that grant is over. That market that you expanded into, there is a cost to it. Remember strategic pillars? Therefore, how shall you be sustainable? So remember, as you're asking CoBank to come and support you financially, there has to be a process where your business still remains sustainable after. And that is really what is called technical assistance. So pre-investment support simply means, what is the capacity of your business right now? What is the capacity of your business to grow? What is the capacity of your business to take in whatsoever the amounts of money? Because a lot of it can destroy your business, and that's not what either the bank or yourself are looking at. Corporate governance. Every so often we get some good money. I need to get myself a Toyota Prado. Let me see how my friends are when they drive into these clubs, which of course it's the company that pays. You want to go there and pay with the same loan that you have received, having convinced the bank that this is for your expansion. The first thing, it goes into your what are called liabilities. You cannot say you're going to see the clients with that vehicle. I know sometimes image is an important person, but then have you sat down to ask yourself, which kinds of clients are these that need me to spend this kind of money to get a liability? We'll still call it a liability until when it can add value to your business. I have come to the end of my presentation so that you have time to ask questions. But this is what I want to see. You are the kind of client that we're looking for. Are you feeling you are stagnated? Do you figure out that too many opportunities to grow, but you need to figure out what is the strategy for that growth and the strategy for success? Do you feel just exhausted before you start saying, oh, these young people don't want to take over my business, and so you need a restoration of your entrepreneurial dream? There are ways to deal with it so that you don't have to feel your children have to do it. How else can you grow and multiply yourself? You're stuck in a place. Remember, you said you are afraid of losses. You could have actually experienced one, and you could be feeling you're just filling in a hole that is not coming up. How do you need to get to turn around? How clear do you need the strategy of your growth or scaling? Do you understand your numbers? Okay. Or your business model. And your business model simply says, how do you make money? That's really the simplest way. Do you have a clarity on your opportunity size, which is really the numbers of your target market? Meaning, if you have as many portfolio products, for example, Coca-Cola, the company that is, it has Coke, it has Sprite, it has Tangawizi, it has Dasani water, it has the juices. They should know, that CEO, about their opportunity size with every product. For you, do you know? Do you have an idea of what is your customer persona? That is your ideal customer. And how effective are you when it comes to messaging? What do you tell me? Remember, I began Lamborghini. What does the person want? Exclusivity. The person who's buying insurance, what do they want? Peace. If you are able to communicate that, you can begin to effectively communicate to your customers. So as I wind up, this is really a brief of who we are. As a business, we are over 20 years old. We are celebrating that. But you all know in business, the number of years means nothing if you're not continuously sustainable and offering the same services better and bigger. We are one of the 35 experts because we sit in the strategy aspect, and there are 35 others that do finance, customer service, and in the next slides I'll show you. Our strong areas are entrepreneurship development. We do business coaching. What we usually say is once we have trained your team, we will do coaching thereafter. That means you do not have to feel, I cannot remember what they taught. So by coaching, we come and see of what we taught, what is critical for your business to utilize immediately. And then we have aspects about access to finance support and research. So that is who we are. The team is 27. The associates is the business coaches. Locally, the associates actually the sandbox team, and the coaches are around Africa. That means if we can partner with anybody in Africa, we will not be lost. We have people. We have trained over 20,000 entrepreneurs and coached about 1,000. What's the disparity with the numbers? At the time that we began, clients like yourself would say, if you want me to go to that legal coach and that marketing coach and that finance coach, it's too much, it's too far. I cannot do that. So we positioned them in one building. Our areas, even if we have put this, we are actually sector agnostic. As you heard there, I mentioned salon, I mentioned construction. That means whereas some of these areas are connected to entrepreneurship for youth and women, agribusiness and climate, digital and creative, our services are to everybody who needs strategy, to everybody who needs technical assistance. We are aligned to those SDGs because they all connect to being able to put money in your pocket. Since this is where we sit, and actually, when you come to Kilimani on Chania Avenue, that is actually how our reception does look like. When we say a one-stop shop for SMEs in the world, you usually hear something called co-working spaces or acceleration hubs. Ideally, each one of those experts is an SME by themselves. So they have something that is called SME empathy or entrepreneurial empathy. We understand where you're coming from. We have local knowledge. We are entrepreneurs serving new entrepreneurs. We collaborate amongst ourselves and we are growing globally. Recently, a sandbox like this was set up in Atlanta. And that is how we look. Wild International sits in the value engine. Capital engine, if Bank was with us, they would have sat there. And then we have the marketers, which is the reach engine. How will you reach your customers? Efficiency internally. Those are like the people who enable your strategic pillars to be strong, to hold the weight and the growth of your building. Capacity engine, the employees, the workforce that you're dealing with, how well are they doing to consistently offer those strategic pillars. Those are the people that we've worked with. And ladies and gentlemen, there ends my session. If I can go to attempt to answer these questions and CoBank team, you let me know. At the end of the webinar, are we likely to have a certificate of participation? I'll let CoBank answer that. I do enjoy these conversations and appreciate how educative, cautious, and mindstorming they are. I only have one request. I'm desperate for a job in the banking sector. I will let CoBank answer that. I know there is an email for you to send. Today I was on and off with clients. How do I access this lesson? CoBank, I think you're able to see whether they're able to share the to share the recording. I think, Mr. Ndumia, I am done.
Wow, wow. Thank you. Thank you so much, Jerry. That was wonderful and very, very impactful. I was deliberate to give you enough time today to share because I know you had a lot. And team, let's appreciate Jerry here, the way we do it. This community is very, very warm. And Jerry, you can see the claps and the emojis are going up there, and the team here is very, very excited. I think for me, I have written a lot of notes, and I think just in case you join the session later, we are talking about resilience in business, and the whole of this month, we'll be talking about strategies that will help us to thrive, especially when it comes to maintaining our business all through. And today we had a wonderful, wonderful, speaker. Jerry, thank you so much for agreeing to be part of this, transforming the MSMEs, and the numbers were great, going to over 200 participants. Thank you, team, and the claps continue to go up. Jerry, I think a few questions because of time. A number of us are asking whether we get the recordings. We will endeavor to share the link, and we'll also be able to get this recording from our website. You're able to go to the web portal and get all the recordings. But today we're able to share with you immediately after the session the link, so that just in case you missed part of it, you will be able to get all this information. Time is not really on our side, but I'm just trying to check whether there's any other question. I don't know whether Beatrice, from your end, you can identify a question that can be handled by Jerry before she goes and before you go the session. But that to me was quite useful. I learned about value, the issue around innovation and taking advantage of technology, customer value proposition, market access and skilling and customer experience. A lot of information, and I think this is quite informative. Let me just check whether there's any question here. Does she mentor the very small individual businesses. This is from Esther. You could handle that one as we try to locate other questions. Then there's also another question here. Still, for those of us who have business ideas and are always afraid to start, can she support possibly? Maybe Jerry, you want to handle those two?
So the first thing I was doing is putting my email address so that in case these
Yes.
questions disappear, you can still send. The answer is yes to those two questions. For us with who have business ideas and areas to start, and for us who are are in small businesses. The only thing that I'll let you know, like every service, there is a cost to it. So you do send me the question, and then we'll see how well do we take care of it. Why do I say that? We're here because we are all in business. All you have to do is solve someone else's problem profitably, and you'll get your answer. So do send me during that. Those questions on that email. The whole idea is this: we are here to make money. Just be comfortable with that. Once you understand that and are comfortable with that, there is no problem. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm sure you're saying it will be paying for value. And I'm sure sometimes we normally say we don't really go back to check on the cost as much as we are getting the value. We possibly just go ahead and pay. And the most important thing is for us to also invest in our businesses. And should we get someone who is able to handle or hold us and try to take us to the next level? And I'm sure that is what Jerry does. For those who are not aware, and I was not there when the introduction was made, but you, Jerry, you've been in this supporting the businesses for the last 18 years, if I'm correct. And no wonder you have all this information, and you also are a coach, and you also a mentor, and you support the business people, and you've been this for so long. And you're also a moderator, an MC, and a program director. Those are some of the things I know about you. The last time we met, we were in a class somewhere, and we were able to achieve a lot. And so we really appreciate. For those who want to engage you in the future, feel free. Feel free to reach out just in case you want more support from Jerry. She tells me not to call her Lucy, Jerry, but Jerry Lucy. I hope I'm good, Jerry, on that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So I can see time is really not on our side. Beatrice, if there's anything that you've noted from your end, you can highlight, and then we're going to give Jerry the last few minutes or seconds to do closing remarks, and we're going to call this session a day.
Thank you so much, Peter. Mine is just to thank Jerry for that illuminative presentation. It was really also, it was a learning session for me as well, and it was a pleasure being in this forum. So thank you so much, and thank you all for joining us today.
Okay, Jerry, back to you to give your closing remarks as we come closer to the end of the session.
Thank you. Thank you very much, CoBank team, Peter, Beatrice, and everybody else who is helping in the back end. I also truly want to appreciate World International as well for this opportunity. What is my part in short? You're in business to create a solution for someone who is in need. In the process of doing that, you do it profitably and sustainably. So because therefore, wealth is not anything to share about. Finances are not anything to share about. How well will you be able to provide those solutions for anybody? You see, once we become very comfortable with that conversation, and once we have what is called a changed mindset, an entrepreneurial mindset of being able to offer those solutions profitably, your conversations with your customers become very different. Because you see, today you're the entrepreneur, tomorrow you'll be a customer. How different will you be able to support that entrepreneur so that usiwafinye sana, you're not asking them to go below what it is they need to bargain, because you also don't want the same done to you. Having said that, I have a passion for young people, and I believe they are in the best season of their lives in many ways. One, the information that the older people here had when they were starting businesses is minuscule compared to the information that you young people have. But I used the word information. Do you have knowledge? Do you have wisdom? Seek it. Seek it and look for it where it is. And work with somebody who you are able to listen to and be able to hear them support you in your business. Because you know what, my dear young people, you will thrive. You will thrive. If you believe it in yourself, you imagine you will. And the older generation that is here that is doing businesses will come to you, one, for the expertise to outsource parts of their businesses, or two, for you to be entrepreneurs. That means you can actually run two businesses, the older ones and yours, that is giving you money even when you are not working at it, because you have digitized and automated practically everything. I say all the best to us entrepreneurs during the pandemic. We are the ones, the governments, and I put an S, that relied on to feed them, to clothe them, and to give them sanity, especially for you who is either in the tours or travel or who runs an entertainment place. So therefore, walk with your head held high. I say these taxes and all, walk with your head held high, because you are thriving. Thank you very much.
Wow, another round of applause for Jelly for also the motivation. I am also happy to hear that you also support the young people, and thank you so much for that. Closing comments that we work, confident and supported by people like you and people like the bank. For us, we continue to support entrepreneurs here to continue growing and to continue accessing finances. And just in case you require our services, you require our solutions, we are here to support you. Please visit any of our branch. Anything that you require when it comes to transaction, to the payment, to access to finance, we'll also walk that journey together. And that brings us to the end of the session. Asanteni sana for joining the session. May God bless you. May God bless your businesses. Looking forward to meet you next week, same time, with another exciting session, still on strategy as we plan for 2025. Asanteni sana and bye-bye. Wishing you all the very best. Thank you.